As if problems at the VA hospitals aren't bad enough, now veterans could have to start paying for their GI Bill benefits.
Yeah, new legislation has been proposed to charge our heroes $2,400. But shouldn't we be giving people incentives to join the military?
Here to weigh in is Dan Caldwell from Concerned Veterans for America. Thank you, first of all, for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me on. You guys have been great.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. Let's kind of break apart this GI Bill, if we could pull that up. It would deduct $100 per month, bringing in $3.1 billion over 10 years, and it covers new enlistees as well. So what do you think about this? Is this good for veterans?
Well, first of all, it's important to point out that this is a legislative proposal, and it's part of a larger package that will ensure that the GI Bill remains viable in the future, and it extends some benefits and makes the GI Bill a lifetime benefit instead of having an expiration date, and also fixes some loopholes in the bill. Now, this is not a new concept, and I don't think it's really fair to call it a tax. In fact, when I was in the Marine Corps and I went to Iraq, I had to pay in the GI Bill since I wanted to use it. This is not something that's new. This was standard for about 20 years, and then they got rid of it, and now they're bringing it back. You can opt out of it. You don't have to pay into this if you don't want the GI Bill. So I think that, unfortunately, there's some people that are opposed to this that are putting out some misinformation about it. And I think it's a viable, important solution that will keep the GI Bill strong going into the future.
Yeah, there are a lot of people up in arms, as you said, arguing that we should give our military or people every incentive to join. Here's a statement I want to read to you from the Veterans of Foreign Wars National Commander. This is Brian Duffy. He says, "This new tax on troops is absurd. Ensuring veterans are able to successfully transition back to civilian life after military service is a cost of war and not a fee that Congress can just pass along to our troops. The war on terrorism is not over. Congress's focus should be on defeating our enemies and ending the war, not cutting the benefits of those who are fighting." How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, I'd just say that the VFW last year supported a bill called the Veterans First Act, which would have cut GI Bill benefits once you were receiving them. I think that this is a fiscally responsible solution that will ensure that the benefits remain strong once you leave the service. And again, this was a standard practice for years. I served in the Marine Corps. I served in Iraq. Most of the people at Concerned Veterans for America that went overseas in the past 20 years paid into the GI Bill. This is only something recent where they got rid of this buy-in, and now they're bringing it back to ensure that the GI Bill remains viable, more troops can get it, and that it won't get cut. The actual benefits won't get cut in the future.
So the new proposal changes it in that way, but the previous proposal, or the GI Bill, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it did not require any fees or pay reductions for eligibility.
Well, for many of the troops that were using a post-9/11 GI Bill, and I used it, it's a very important benefit. It got me through college. I wouldn't be where I am today without the GI Bill, but I had to pay into it. It's only been enlistees over the past 6 or 7 years who haven't had to pay into it.
So you pay into it to begin with, but your $100 every month is not taken out, so it's being handled differently.
$100 every month while you're enlisted for the first, when I was in, it was the first 12 to 18 months. This one proposal, and again, it's only a proposal, would be for 24 months. But once you're out, that money wouldn't be taken out of your BAH or your other benefits. This would only be while you're in. And again, I would emphasize is that there's an opt-out. If you don't want the GI Bill, if you've already, like, for example, graduated from college, or you don't want to go to college, you can go back and work in a small business, your family business, you don't have to pay this $100. So it's not mandatory. And it's not, I don't think it's really fair to call it a tax.
Yeah, well, this debate will certainly continue. Thanks for your perspective this morning, Dan, and thanks for your service.
Well, thank you guys for everything you do and for continuing to cover these issues. It's very important.
It's important to all of us. Thank you, Dan.